What's going on, guys? Thanks for joining us on the Monday night FM/football show. You've got myself and James here. We're just waiting for Ryan. So, just join us, James. It is 1 minute past 11, so we're slightly late. But we're going to start talking, James, and we are going to discuss the FA Cup to start with. It's been a weekend of shocks, James, I think it's fair to say, in the football world.
Easily the most shocking weekend for results. I think probably the UK and definitely the FA Cup has seen. It's been absolutely mental.
I mean, I don't know about yourself, but I kind of almost feel sorry for Middlesbrough because they obviously performed a fantastic victory against Man City, and it's just been completely overshadowed by the fact that Bradford City somehow put 4 past Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean everybody was talking about Cambridge getting their draw, and then of course Borough winning away, but the main talking point is about Bradford now, isn't it?
I mean, I think Bradford even played some good football. I mean, obviously the Bradford manager obviously had it on working to work the ball into box.
Yeah.
Because some of the Tiger man player, John Steady, was holding the ball up so well, wasn't he? His assists on the goals.
They played well. I did watch some of the game, and well, I seen most of the game, and I did watch it, and they were outstanding, especially in the second half.
Yeah, it's really impressive. I mean, in your time on Football Manager, have you personally performed any FA Cup upsets?
Not really upsets because I mean I either play right down low where I never get that far, or I play as a mid-table Premier League team, and I don't really see it as an upset. I've had a few Champions League upsets, but not really FA Cup ones. None that stand out anyway.
No, I think for myself as Crew Alexander on FM 14. I managed to knock out, I can't think it was Stoke City in the first season, which I thought was quite an impressive victory. But I've never seen on Football Manager a weekend like we've seen in real life for the FA Cup. It's just been a fantastic weekend.
Great advert for English football.
Yeah, exactly. I don't suppose you saw the goals from tonight, have you?
No, I haven't seen anything from tonight yet. No.
All I've got to say is Bojan's first goal, and unfortunately he's gone off injured, so fingers crossed it's not serious. But Bojan's first goal is an absolute beauty. It's literally first time volley, edge of the box, and just bottom corner with power. It's an absolute beauty.
It's about time he's living up to his old Football Manager hype.
He is, and then you've got you can go through them. You've got Victor Moses scored as well tonight. He had no intention of crossing the ball, just bent it into the top corner. It's been a great weekend for the FA Cup, and like I say, I've personally not had much success. I genuinely cannot tell you when I last won the FA Cup on Football Manager. I never play as Premier League clubs, as people know, and I'm always low down, and because I'm always sorting out stuff for people, I end up getting swayed into new saves, and I never get far enough to actually get up there and compete. Who did you last, and if you did, win the FA Cup with, James? Can you remember?
Yeah, it would have been Newcastle because in the last 2 years of Football Manager, I've been sticking to trying to go lower down or going abroad, so I've not really been many English teams or none that's good enough to reach that far, but I'm pretty sure it would have been Newcastle on FM 14.
Okay. But yeah, I think definitely it's been a weekend to remember for the FA Cup. Just see there, Kieran's listening. He just said hi, so cheers listening. I have no idea where Ryan is. Something tells me Ryan thinks we start at 10:30. The next thing we're going to jump onto is the Martin Odegaard to Real Madrid. Obviously, it's big news this week, James. Obviously, definitely something you've had to update on your database. I'm sure as people might have noticed, if they haven't noticed, we're back to 2 Martin Odegaards, which is just something you cannot help. It's nothing to do with you doing anything wrong. It's the fact of how Sports Interactive have added him into the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's, to be fair, it's like this with every database creator that I've seen so far. If you remove them completely from the editor, it removes them completely from the game. Or if you have them in the editor, like there'll be one Odegaard in my editor, but it shows 2 in the game. So there's something weird happened ever since they decided to put their own in, and I kind of wish they never now. But I mean, it's not the worst thing. You just kind of ignore one of them, really.
Well, yeah, I think they've added him in some strange way instead of just sticking him in as as a player. He seems to be in as an add-on to the game, which means it's not accessible via the editor. Which is
Yeah, I mean,
it's quite strange, James. I'm sure as a database editor, I'm sure you'll find it very frustrating.
it is very frustrating for the work you put in that, and obviously going to create them as well. We've had around, I'm going to rough guess, say 35 to 40,000 downloads so far, which is it's about right because it really starts to pick up at the end of January, and then of course right the way through to the end of the August window. That's when it starts to really pick up. But we've only had about 5 or 6 people actually say, right, there's 2 Odegaards. I mean, so obviously all in downloads, most people aren't actually that bothered as long as they have the one in there, and one of them is probably only going to come good, and the other one just might fade away to nothing, and who knows?
Either that or Norway will start kicking some ass in about 10 years when they're both mid-20s. But okay, most people just go, yeah, I never knew Odegaard had a twin.
maybe they ought to try Odegaard number 2 and try and sign Tobias Svensson. Your recommendation to go on the database, of course.
Definitely somebody. I know Mr. Zulu's listening there. Liam, he's just commented saying evening. So cheers listening, pal. I don't know if you use the database. It's on the screen there, Liam. I'd love you to promote it on Twitter as well. Football Manager Whiz Kids. Great database. And like I say, it's one of, if not the only database which has Scandinavia updated. And also, as he's just mentioned, it's the only database which has Tobias Svensson on the game, a 14-year-old wonder kid at Molde. This guy is going to become amazing.
Yeah, I mean, on my Blythe Spartan save in the 3rd season, he's worth about 9 million and playing at Hull. So and he's got great stats by then.
Now,
and
sorry, go on, James.
I'd like to see what somebody who's actually using them themselves could do with them. But you're right, it's an exclusive now. If somebody else has got him in their database, then there's something seriously up.
Well, you know they've basically copied it off your idea. So
yeah.
But what I would say is we obviously discussed when you created him, didn't we? We discussed how good to make him. This guy's the talk of Norway, but we made him as good as his brother, didn't you?
Yeah.
So there's no crazy ass stat making going on. Because his brother plays for Molde as well. He's 17. He's a fantastic player himself. Sorry, I think he's 16 when the game starts. He's a great player as well. So he's literally made the same stand of him, even though everybody says this guy's going to completely go past his brother in ability. But obviously James doesn't want to start sticking -10 wonder kids in and getting people complaining to the extent where some other databases have been doing it.
No, of course not. I mean, almost each and every stat is thought out very, very thoroughly, and then there is maybe 5 or 6 stats we don't touch at all, and we just basically, whenever you load up, they're random. They're not going to affect it really because they're not going to be that high. But like, if you load up one game brand new, then I do one, those 5 or 6 random stats are going to be totally different from each of our games. So, but they're not really the effective ones.
Yeah. But I think Martin Odegaard moving to Real Madrid in the reality, not the fictional world of Football Manager, I think I'm starting to go more towards it's a good move for him. There's reports he's going to be loaned to Celtic, which I think it could be a good move for him because obviously his manager from last year is now the manager of Celtic, so he already knows the manager, which is going to be a great help for him settling.
Trust me, being from Scotland, unless you play Football Manager, and obviously before he signed for Real Madrid, you'd be lucky if there's a few thousand people that even know who he is.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I come from the country I live in the country where he's obviously grew up, so the hype around him, he's all over everything. He's literally on every single newspaper. It's been like that for bloody a year now, if not over.
I think it's a great move. bear in mind he's going to be playing for, I think it's Castilla or whatever, and he's going to be working mainly with Zidane. So arguably the greatest player ever. I mean,
Yeah.
who else do you want to coach you? Of course, he's going to be training with the first team as well, but that's for experience. I just think it's the best move possible, and I think he's got the right people around him.
What about yourself, Ryan? What do you think of that the move?
I think exactly what you said. I can agree with the move, and if he goes to Celtic, then it's his former manager, someone he knows, so his development there is going to come on under his management. If he stays at Real Madrid, he's got Zinedine Zidane, so you can't complain. He's got two good managers. One manager that he's known, Zinedine Zidane, who great player to take under your wing for Odegaard and Zidane. Could
See,
be possible
what
in
I
the
would
future.
say, it's still getting reported in the newspapers here that he's gone. All it keeps saying is the club he's signing for, and this is Odegaard has come out and said this to the Norwegian press. He has said he is moving to the new club to play first team football. That's what he keeps saying, but he never says I'm moving to Real Madrid. He keeps saying I'm moving to my new club to play first team football. So does that mean he's going to be shipped straight out on loan? It's kind of, in my opinion, it's kind of leaning towards that, isn't it? Because he always said before he signed for Real Madrid, whatever club I sign for, I want to play first team football. And bear in mind, genuinely, guys, I know it's been talked about a lot, and I mean a lot, as we know, but this kid is the real deal. And the people who say he still could flop or he still could be a disaster, he is already a class above everybody in Norway for the whole season, and especially near the end of the season after he won his international caps. He dominated games, guys, and normally the players who flop, you know, like when they're a young teenager and they end up just basically fading off. They've never got to the level where they were dominating the league they were playing in. They've kind of come through and done a couple of good displays and then faded away. This guy is already dominating Norwegian football. So I think there's no question about it. He is going to be one of, if not the best footballer in the world in the next 10 years.
I think you've got too many people thinking about the Freddie Adu situation now. It's completely different, but so I don't get why people make comparisons.
That's again, Freddie Adu had never actually done anything, had he? He'd come and made a couple of displays.
He had a trial at Man United, and all of a sudden he was the big thing.
I think that's what people need to remember. Martin Odegaard, at the age of 15, completely dominated the games week in, week out, not just for 15 minutes and then he disappeared. It was literally give the ball to Martin Odegaard. It was just every game it was like that. All the players just at the end of the game constantly said he was better than all of us. We couldn't get the ball off him. We couldn't get close to him. So I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's got to be a situation where we're going to look at maybe doing a simulation on Football Manager for the YouTube channel, Ryan. That could be something interesting, maybe, to see how Martin Odegaard develops over the next 10 years. But I think it might have to be an FM16 simulation, so it's all official and not a custom-made Martin Odegaard.
Mm-hmm.
It would be a good idea. You could do sort of like the race to stardom, like take 10 youngsters and see who makes it to the top. Obviously, they're all starting at different clubs. Odegaard already at Real Madrid, but
I think
if that doesn't work out, he could go lower. But you've also got like say Ryan Gauld as well, and young players like that.
I think there's a lot of talk, isn't there, Ryan? I know Hilario, was it Hilario? I think it was Hilario, posted last week or the week before the goals, because Martin Odegaard got 2, didn't he, for the first team? And they were decent goals. I know Andre linked me the highlights. And
do you mean Ryan Gould?
Yeah, who did I say?
You said Odegaard.
You knew what I meant, though, didn't you?
Very confusing, that, huh?
You knew what I meant. And I think it's going to be interesting because this is another player who he's got it all there. And I think it's starting to show that Sporting was a good decision because of all the pressure that was put on him. Kind of the pressure's gone away. I don't know about James. You're living in Scotland. How much is Ryan Gould featuring in the press in Scotland at the minute?
Whenever he gets like, for example, I think it was the B squad for Sporting when he got his first start, and then when he got his goals there, he was being mentioned here, and then of course when he got his on for the first team, and then scored for the first team. So when he does do something that's a highlight, such as a goal or something, a lot of people start talking about him. And of course, I live in the area where he's from. He's from about 15 minutes away from where I live, so everybody does talk about him when he does something right.
Do you think the pressure's relaxed a bit since he's left Dundee, though? Was
Yeah.
he in the press more when he was at Dundee?
Yeah, the press were talking about him so much when he was here because the whole country was talking about him. Now that he's at Sporting, I don't know if the whole country is actually following Portuguese football, but of course, if you're a fan of Dundee United or you're in the local area like what I am, then you do look to see what he is doing. But I think it's a great move. Moving
Yeah.
over there, not knowing the language necessarily or the surroundings, and just making a new start, I think you'll feel the pressure is off.
Yeah, exactly like you've just said there. The pressure's off, which might give him a chance to develop. And we all know the amount of talent that comes out of Portuguese football, normally via Brazil, etc. But why not via Scotland? I mean, Eric Dier at Tottenham obviously came through the Sporting Academy. Did he start at Everton and move to?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he moved to Sporting. Obviously, no, unless you played Football Manager, no one knew who Eric Dier was before he signed for Tottenham. And I think that's a good thing because he's so young, and yet he's captained the under-21s for England, and he's now playing for Tottenham Hotspur at centre back at the age of 21, which I think.
Great achievement.
Yeah, he's not doing amazing. He's not. He had a couple of really good games, didn't he, at the start of the season, scoring goals. But obviously, that's not why he's in the squad. And he's now actually in the squad and playing well as a defender. And as you say, it's a great achievement at such a young age. I mean, do you play centre backs at any age, James, on Football Manager, or would you develop him and give him the odd game?
I'm willing to play one at any age. I always have to have one experience playing alongside him, but. Of course, I was Sporting Lisbon for 7 seasons on FM14, and Eric Dier, after a few seasons, became my captain, and he was fantastic.
Ah, there you go. See, some inside knowledge. I think it was FM13 had a really good Sporting Lisbon save. They're a fantastic team to be on Football Manager, and it's possibly one I can look at. I mean, the only issue I have now is I have very big issues when it comes to history. Clubs I manage have to have as little history as I can put up with, type thing. So Sporting have slightly too much history, but then they almost don't have as much now, do they? So it's been so long since they did anything. So it could be a possible save to manage Ryan Gould, maybe get Odegaard to somehow go over as well. But we're going to move on to a topic which is going to really interest me for the season, and it's going to be something we're probably going to have a little chat about during the season, linking obviously with Football Manager, is the MLS. Ryan, is any excitement within you building as the likes of today Martin Patterson's gone on loan from Huddersfield to Orlando City? That's a bit of a strange deal I found.
No, there are a lot of players which you're finding that are going over to the States, which it shows that MLS football is getting out there. It's getting up with. Well, it's not going to be never going to be up with the Premier League, but if players like Frank Lampard, Steven Gerrard, even these players like Sean Maloney and the player you've just mentioned, I've just forgot his name, who's gone out on loan.
Martin Patterson, yeah.
That's the one.
I'll link James that's ready for his database.
Yep.
These players who you can all look out for. Watch the MLS and watch these players, and that's probably why the MLS teams are targeting them. And if these players want to go and get experience in America, why not? America isn't a bad country to play football in. A lot of people seem to play it down, but they have a lot of good youth systems. I seem to find, especially in the women's football, especially, and the youth football. It's very underrated and undervalued, but it's going to be good to see what the future of the MLS holds.
I think the American football for the youth system side of things is obviously we all know the American League is a very, very complex system when it comes to players moving, joining. etc.
Typically American style.
Yeah. Obviously, there is a guide on our website, but I am not going to lie to you. Even if I sit and read that guide 3 or 4 times, I still need to actually play in the MLS to understand it. Obviously, you have players coming from college, and then you have your basic youth systems, etc. So it's complex. But I am liking it. Obviously, Sean Maloney's gone there as well, which we spoke about on Football Central today. James was saying once he's played for Celtic, there's no reason to go back to Scotland, which I thought he maybe would have done. Maybe.
He's played for them twice. There's no need to go a third time.
Well, I was just thinking somewhere like Aberdeen, James, might have been a really good suit for him.
He's much too good for that, and his wages will be too high. I think he actually wanted to go to America to try a new culture because before Leicester even made their bid, and which got accepted, he was already rumoured to be in talks with going there. So even a switch to a Premier League team couldn't change his mind.
Okay.
He's in his 30s now. I think he wanted a change.
I mean, he's still a great player, isn't he? He's mentally, he's a fantastic player, which I think he'll light the league up. To be honest, I think it's going to be. I am so excited about the MLS. I mean, people who don't follow and haven't followed it, you can go to the MLS website each week and you can watch all the highlights, which I think is a fantastic thing that's on offer because a lot of leagues around the world wouldn't dream of offering that, especially free of charge. There's a lot of players going over there. I mean, as Jake has said, cheers for listening, Jake. Jake said the legend that Altidore, but Jake says about that, but I genuinely think Altidore might do quite well over there because he's such a strong player, and I think there was so much pressure on him. Bear in mind, I'm a Newcastle supporter. There was so much pressure on him at Sunderland, you almost felt sorry for him because whenever he come on, the Sunderland fans treated him like shit. They literally gave him about 10 seconds. If he took a bad touch, they started booing or started just groaning and just like, oh. And it's going to settle on a player. The player's going to lose confidence. He's not as bad as he's made out. And I think at Toronto, he's just going to maybe settle a little bit. And is it Javenko? I'm rubbish at pronouncing that guy's name. Especially having someone like that maybe playing alongside him week in, week out will be a massive asset. I don't know what you think, James.
Yeah, I mean, after about 15 games or so, 20 games at Sunderland, they started to get on his back, and the pressure obviously didn't help. But now he's gone there. I see no reason why he can't start scoring goals again. I mean, I have no problem with him scoring goals in America now that he's left Sunderland.
Have you ever signed him, Ryan, on Football Manager? Have you ever used him in any previous ones?
No, but I'm going to go back to your point with what the Sunderland fans getting on his back. I think any player that is synonymous for being bad, take a player like Tom Cleverley, who's not had a very good run at Man United, he's not had very good games. A player like Anderson, he's gone downhill. Once they have a bad Anderson, exactly. Who? Where is he at the moment? He could end up at the MLS. We never know. But if they're known to be a bad player, they've been on a bad run, fans are going to get on their back. That's what football fans are like. They can't accept failure, and maybe the MLS is a league that players can use to rebuild their career. And who knows, Altidore could end up scoring maybe 20 goals a season in the MLS and start bringing up his career again.
Going back to the Tom Cleverley, like if he struggles at Man United for say 10, 15 games, and all of a sudden they want him out the team, he's not good enough. That kind of spreads around fans of other clubs now because they're seeing him struggle at Man United. They're obviously thinking, oh, he's not going to do well at our club. Tom Cleverley is not a bad player, and he would get in at least half of the Premier League clubs. But of course, if you don't perform at Man United, everybody's thinking he's not going to do it elsewhere.
I think the thing with Tom Cleverley is he's very plain. He'll get the ball. He'll work hard. He'll pass the ball simply. He's kind of like a Darren Fletcher, but slightly more creative. But
he's a very simple footballer.
Yeah, he's not creative enough to excite people, which then means people get on his back because they think he's not doing anything. But then I think if you do check his stats, he maybe has a very good passing percentage, etc.
We could use Fellaini as an example. I mean, absolutely brilliant in his time at Everton. Signed by Man United, struggles a bit, and then all of a sudden everybody's calling him rubbish and no team would take him.
He's settling now, man, isn't he, James?
Yeah, I mean, he's a really good player. Just because you have a struggle, a bit of form, doesn't mean you're not a bad player.
I think the problem is, James, with a club like Manchester United, you expect to see all the sleek movement, etc. And I think the problem with Fellaini is he looks very clumsy. Even when he's not, he might do something quite decent, but it looks clumsy at times. So I think a lot of fans get on his back because they just think he looks like he's falling over. Where he's not, he's just that tall, he's just trying to bend down to get the ball. Just a quick look on the... Jake said there, Jermaine Defoe's proved that the MLS isn't the place where the players end their career. Sunderland is. Hashtag banter. I think the problem with Jermaine Defoe is I don't think he settled in Toronto, did he? So I think he just wanted to come back to the Premier League, and he was always too good for it. But I think he'd have stayed if he settled. But I do think he just literally didn't settle in America or Canada, so he wanted to come back to England. Jesus, so he comes back to Sunderland. In hell.
I think on that, I'm going to be interested to see if that. I'm like you, Paul. I don't know how to pronounce his name. The Giovinco, the player that went over. I think is he gone to Toronto? Where has he gone?
Yeah, he's Toronto. James, how old is he? Isn't he only like 27?
Yeah, he's 27, but he's not there yet. He joins at the end of the season.
Okay.
Is he gonna settle in? And if he doesn't, is he gonna come back to wherever?
His wage packet suggests that even if he doesn't settle in, he ain't going to go back to Italy because nobody's going to pay that wages.
So I think when Football Manager release the official update, I think it's going to be interesting because obviously these players will be set to move to the club in the summer, etc. So I think it would be interesting to do like a video kind of 5-season look at the likes of Giovinco, the likes of Altidore, like an MLS one and then one of Odegaard and stuff. I also like the idea of saying it on this show, so when other people copy the idea exactly, I can then just replay this and go, once again, other websites have stole our idea. Which we all know has happened. And Jake, do you really think we're going to listen to your spelling pronunciation?
Giovinco.
People would have loved. Just so people know, we had a meeting last night for FMCentral, just where we discussed the future of FMCentral. And we'd like to announce with James on the show that the WizKids database is going to become the official database for FMCentral. It'll be the one which is promoted every day. So great news for you, James, and even better for us that we've got a database we know and trust.
Yeah, I'm delighted with that. It works a bit both ways. Of course, I promote it on my page through your website, so if people want to download it, they have to go to you to get the link. So they're getting a look at your site as well as getting my database.
Lucky people.
Yeah.
What I would say as well, and anyone who wants to know, the meeting went really well. The FMCentral's on the up. We've got a few things planned. Luckily, I attended the meeting as the owner because Jake, for the first time ever, came on speaking terms to everybody. So I had to translate that for everybody. Jake and his lovely Geordie accent, nobody had a clue what he was trying to say to them. But we'll move on to the next topic before I get into an insulting Jake session. James, Ravel Morrison. Do you love him? Do you hate him? Do you just want to slap him? This guy, is he wasting a talent?
I think he is. I think he's got the talent. I mean, obviously punted from Man United to QPR and then sent out on loan to Cardiff where he struggled, and now at West Ham, and he's off to Lazio at the end of the season. So we've not seen it. We know he has it, but I think he's got a bad attitude, and he reminds me of Niall Ranger a bit, to be honest.
It's a very sorry, James. Sorry,
but I'm going to go back to like the Ryan Gauld thing, like him moving to Portugal. I think Ravel Morrison moving to Italy, I think this will take a bit of pressure off because we won't see it as much.
See, that was my first thought. It's going to take a lot of pressure off him. But then, almost straight away, my second thought was, oh, will it? Because Italy is a very strange country. No, it is. they're slightly strange when it comes to the football side of things. And obviously, dating an Italian for 7 years, I got to know the culture quite well. And Lazio is the most hated club alongside Napoli in Italy. And
You'll fit right in then.
honestly, I'm slightly concerned for him because I think he's going to become a victim of racism. Because I think Ravel Morrison is obviously he has mixed nationalities, and I just think it's not a good move for him to move to Italy. I
Yeah,
mean, bear in mind Mario Balotelli is Italian, obviously again mixed nationality, and he got racially abused a lot in Italy, and so do many players. And it's disgraceful, literally so disgraceful. And I really do feel for Ravel Morrison if a player with attitude, James, on the pitch then upsets the fans, it could really get heated.
yeah, but I'm sure he must have studied that situation with his agent and his family, of course, and moving abroad. But here, if somebody's willing to pay me 50 grand, I'll move to Italy and let them shout at me.
Is that how much he's getting paid?
It's going to be around that because,
Oh, they can throw what they want at me for that.
well, yeah, I mean, well, he's on around 25 just now, is from what I think. So he's going to be getting more. Let's just say 5-10 grand more.
Yeah. What
It's
about
just-
yourself, Ryan? Ryan, in football manager terms, do you sign that type of player who's known as a troublemaker, or does his real life personality put you off?
On FM, no. I like to sign players that will agree with the way that I want to run my club. I've been on my save. I've not really put it on the website. I've had a few players that haven't agreed with my training routine, which I think most people will know now is quite high during pre-season.
Are we
I've had a
talking?
moaning.
Are we talking football manager? Or are we talking your Sunday league?
FM.
Personal dig there, lads.
Can explain that afterwards. But FM, all my high training routine during pre-season, I've had a few moan. One player said, "Oh, I don't like it," and he wanted gone. So I thought, off you go then. I'll find somebody else because there's always a better player for me. There's always someone better that I can find on FM if someone doesn't want to stick at the club, and I'm sure West Ham can find someone better than Ravel Morrison. It's like Paul Pogba. He turned out to be a very good player, but he thought he was bigger than the club, and that's
I'm sorry,
Ravel Morrison is.
I'm sorry, but that is another Sir Alex Ferguson cock up. A lot of
It is
this,
a cock-up,
a lot of this is covered up, and it's frustrating actually how much of it is covered up. The amount of mistakes Alex Ferguson's made. I know he's been there a long time. Sorry, he was there a long time, and you're going to make mistakes, but some of them are very, very big mistakes, Ryan.
Oh, well, yeah, I can admit that even as a Man United fan that Alex Ferguson's made a load of mistakes, and
Imagine,
managers do make mistakes. Look
Yeah.
at Paul Pogba. He's turned out to be a fantastic player. He's linked back to Man United in a stupid deal, which I
Yes.
think is like £72 million.
that's what my next question to James was going to be. James, if you sell a player on Football Manager as a youngster, let's say in your Sporting Lisbon save, did you sell any youngsters who you thought weren't going to be good enough? They turned out to be world stars, and did you have to bring them back for obscene amounts of money? And would you do that?
I think something along that lines happened to me, but I actually got them back cheaper. In Portugal, you don't get a lot of money to play with really, so you kind of have to build it up. And I bought a player for 8 million, that is massive.
That's
for
a lot of
playing.
money in Portugal, yeah.
Yeah, that's massive. He was central defender. He was called Rochina from Brazil.
Okay.
And I don't even think I had him 6 months, and he was away to PSG for 30 million, and I couldn't. That's too much money to turn down. And then I brought him back about a year later for around 7-8 million again. So he was fantastic in the short time I had him, but I ended up getting him back, making huge profit. But for me, not really. Once you sell a player, I would only take him back if you're getting him back cheaper.
Fantastic.
And as for like the signing the bad boys, if you wish, like Ravel Morrison on Football Manager, unless I can get them for free on a decent contract, I wouldn't touch them.
Nah. Just on the side here, Jake said Morrison's just Ben Arthur in disguise. Honestly, Morrison makes Ben Arthur look like a good boy. And Jake also said if he was Pogba and the manager chose Anderson over him, he'd leave also.
Yeah, but you got to look back. Anderson won Young Player of the Year, so he was a good player. Anderson's just gone drastically downhill.
So did Hugo Viana.
Oh,
Good point.
Do you know what? I still feel upset about that because when that guy come to Newcastle, he looked a real talent.
he scored on his debut a
He did.
25-yard free kick against West Brom.
I was there, James.
Oh, yeah.
I remember his first game, him and also Emre's first game. I was there for that as well. Two amazing occasions because Emre was a talent as well.
He was a good player, like.
But we'll go down here. Chelsea and Football Manager enjoy spending money, but do they enjoy spending it as much as they do in real life, James? With Schürrle's now linked to leave, they also obviously they're bringing in that guy, I can't remember his name.
Cuadrado.
They always after somebody. There's always something happening. What I want to know, I actually want to go left field to the original question that's been put down. Can you remember against Sporting they brought on that young kid? I can't remember his name.
Dominic Solanka?
No, he was that the young English guy. He was like a Yaya Toure style player when he come on.
Ruben Loftus-Cheek.
That's it. That guy, honestly, I was watching the game and when he come on, what a beast he looked like. He was literally towering above everybody. His movement was amazing. Off the ball, he was awesome. His passing was good. You just don't see them again. Why are Chelsea spending all this money and not bringing through these players? If you were managing them, Ryan, seriously, what would you do?
Well, for me, always on FM, I always seem to favour English players. If there's English players there and they're good enough, I'll play them and play them and play them. I would never do what Chelsea do, start buying all these players. They've got Marco Marin, who has he played the game yet?
Is he in Seville at the minute? Where's he at or something?
No, he's gone to somewhere in Belgium, Anderlecht.
Yeah, he's just had his loan cancelled at Fiorentina and sent to Anderlecht.
Was he at Sevilla last season then?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Freaking they all over, and they honestly, I can't remember where I saw this, but if someone can post it, Jake can post it in Football Central after this show's finished so we can go and have a look at it. The list of Chelsea players on loan is unbelievable.
Well, I know myself doing the database, and for the last 3-4 years, no joke, they've had at least 25-30 players out on loan.
Now, if they use some of these, but some of these players look so good. I had a discussion today with somebody on Football Central. Now, fair play to them. The discussion it didn't get aggressive, it didn't get abusive. It was literally just quite a good discussion about how he was defending Man City's youth development, and obviously I just think it's a complete disaster. Now they say, well, he said they've just built a youth facility. You can't expect young players to come through straight away. Now I'm sorry, he was trying to justify why they're looking to buy Danny Ings. Did Danny Ings come through a major youth academy? No. Do most of the players in the Premier League come through a major youth academy? No. They come through a basic, and I don't mean this offensively, but a bog standard tin shed and a guy training them. You don't need a multi-billion pound training academy to get through a start. Did Alan Shearer come through a $1 billion youth academy? Did Gary Lineker? You can go back years, can't you? I mean, they've only just started spending millions and millions on youth academies. But in the old days, it used to be people go out, scout players, this kid's good, we'll train him. Why haven't Man City done this for the last 10 years or 20 years? He said, look back at all the players who come through City's youth academy and I'll eat my words. Well, I did look back. You're a disgrace. It's honest to God, it's embarrassing. Frickin' Darlington have had better quality. I mean, James, seriously, am I overreacting or should Man City have developed some better talent? And before you answer, that kid who's gone to Sevilla, you know that young Spanish guy, is it Lopez? He played a few games for them a couple of years ago and then a year ago, and then they've ended up just getting rid of him.
That's Dennis Suarez.
Dennis Suarez. I knew it was a name.
Lopez is on loan. Lopez is on loan at Lille.
But that Suarez kid, he looks quality for Sevilla.
He turns out a beast. He turns out to be a beast on FM as well.
Yeah, I mean, Barcelona actually signed him from Man City, and he's went on a 2-year loan to Seville.
So Barcelona got him off Man City.
Yeah.
But still though, James, why are Man City not developing youth players and just going out and buying people instead?
Because they feel like it's almost like they feel like they have to spend all that money that they have, like bringing in the big name players, and even when they're not bringing them in, they're bringing in unknown young talent that we're not seeing that much of from abroad. I mean, how many English players are we going to see come through Man City in the next 3-4 years? One,
well, I
two?
mean, don't forget this billion dollar youth academy. I just honestly, James, I was so fuming because it makes it worse that you've got typey replies instead of just literally screaming. They had an academy before they built this new one, yet nobody of high quality come through that academy. There has to be a reason behind this. Is there a reason? Are they not coaching the people properly, or are they basically looking at them and going, "We don't have time to develop you. We're just going to buy somebody instead, and you can leave"? Ryan, I don't understand. Honestly,
it's probably the way they're looking at it. They have a lot of money, which is known for Manchester City, and if they fear that they're going to fall behind by playing these players and they may not make it, and there's a player out there that's good enough right now and they've got the money to spend to buy him, they're going to go and do it rather than letting the English players that from what I can see, I know the Manchester City under-18s played in the Youth FA Cup against Coventry lately, and I think they beat them 8-2. And the team I looked at for Man City didn't have many English names. I'm going to say that. I'm not sure if they were English, but there weren't many English names. That's what I'm going to say. So
that's what bugs me, because I know I saw them play. I think it was PSG in the Youth Champions League, and Man City, they looked absolutely amazing. And you just think to yourself, why aren't these players getting a chance?
I mean, a lot of these clubs don't even have English coaches coaching their 18-year-old, 17-year-old teams. Maybe that's part of the problem.
I mean, I think one of the most frustrating things as well is and if I was a young striker in Man City, a few months ago when they were putting James Milner up front because of striker issues, you'd be scratching your head and just saying, "Come on, give us a chance, man. I've scored 30 in freaking the youth squad, for example, and yet you're not giving me a chance when you don't have a recognised striker fit in your first team." This is why I think there should be rules brought into the Premier League to say you have to have so many players who were trained by the club, or even as some of the leagues do, you have to have 2 players under the age of 19 in the squad. Maybe, do you know what I mean? Just something to kind of encourage you.
I think there's some sort of rule like that in Scotland where you have to have at least 2 homegrown players on the bench, I believe, under the age of, I think, 19, something like that. There's a rule like that in Scotland.
Yeah, it's a good rule. I know from Football Manager. I don't know it exactly, but I think you're near enough spot on. We'll move on to the last topic, which works out well. So we've got like a minute to go. It's not going to be a long topic. It's the disgraceful scenes at Standard Liège, James. Have you seen the banner?
I have seen it. I've seen it about a couple hours ago, and it's a shocker, and they will get heavily punished for it.
Now, this might sound silly, but when I first saw it, I didn't click on that it was Stephen Defoe's cartoonized, animated head in the hands, and I thought it was just a general statement to say red or dead, and I thought, borderline. They can maybe get away with it and just say, "Look, we're just saying, like, you should support us." But then when you click on that it's Stephen Defoe's animated head in the hands and he has come back to play against them, it's just, you can't do that against a player. I mean, surely they have some morals and some sort. Oh, somebody's got a dog. Some sort of I'm not going to say respect, because respect should be just obvious, but just, Ryan, seriously, what the hell are they doing?
I've got a dog.
Sticking that banner up. I mean, that banner was massive as well. It's not like they were just holding a random freaking A4 piece of paper up.
It's passion to say the least, but I think it's passion too far. He's come back to play, and a sign like that. I mean, if it was me, I'd be shitting myself if I had a
No.
sign like that.
Yeah,
What's
I mean,
he?
that's taken a long, long time to make. That's not just, like you say, it's not just overnight. That's taken a long. The day he signed is the day that was getting made, and to be honest, I didn't really expect to see that sort of thing coming from Belgium. I mean, I don't take much interest in Belgian football, but you tend to hear what certain fans from certain countries are like, and I really didn't expect that.
Yeah, I must admit I was a bit shocked, especially from Standard because he always come across as quite a nice run club, and I kind of almost think the stewards should have seen that coming. I mean, freaking, they carry in 100-foot freaking banner. You think they'd say, "Oh, what's that? Or what's on that banner?" Surely they had some sort of idea that it was going to happen. But I guess these things happen, and if anything, to a certain extent, Standard Liège will be sat there thinking any publicity is good publicity. I know there's going to be a limit behind it, but at the end of the day, everyone's talking about Standard Liège today. So, but I'll just quickly jump down the side to end. Kieran said it's awful scenes, very bad. And yeah, the club should have took it down. And Liam, cheers, still listening, pal. Could it be down to the youngsters not wanting to go to Chelsea and Man City? If he was a good youngster, he'd rather go to youth setup and give me a best chance. I must admit, I don't know about yourself, Ryan, but I think if I was a youngster, I'd rather go to Crewe Alexandra than Chelsea.
Just like that in the Premier League, I'd rather go to Southampton than go to Chelsea.
Yeah, that's maybe I should. I don't know about yourself, Ryan, but I'd rather go to Southampton than Chelsea.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Yeah, exactly.
great academy.
But thanks for listening anyway, guys, tonight. That's the end of the Monday night show. Thanks for turning up in the end, Ryan. And cheers for coming on bang on time, James.
Yeah, no problem.
And as you'll all see in the background, the Football Manager WizKids database, downloaded, lads. Liam, if you could plug it on your Twitter page, we'd really appreciate that. I think James is following yourself, but if not, I'll...
I am.
Yeah, you are. Fantastic. Mr. Zulu. And remember to link us your latest video, pal, and we'll get all posted in our groups. James will give it a plug-in, Exchange for You plug-in. Share for share, which is always nice and definitely helps the community. But yeah, thanks for listening, guys, and we will see you on Thursday night for the 100% Football Manager show.